So I was recently spending some time on LinkedIn, as I often do, and I came across this list, 10 things that require zero talent. And I had a reaction to it. And at first I wasn't quite sure what that reaction was. My body was sort of trying to tell me something. And then I realized what my body was trying to tell me was that I was angry, that there was some form of injustice in this list. And that's really the wisdom of anger. And so I'm going to do my best in a short period of time to sort of express that with compassion, to help maybe someone understand better what it is I think this list represents and how we might be able to do something about that. See, the first thing I recognize is that this list suggests that talent and the cultivation of it or the development of it is sort of outside of our interest. You either have it or you don't. And it's arguable. Now, the characteristics on this list, though, it seems like it's being suggested that by simply writing them on the list, on the whiteboard, should be enough. You either have them or you don't. So now I feel as if there's not much that I can do as a leader if, with regards to talent and this list of 10 outstanding characteristics are both sort of outside of my purview. What in fact am I supposed to do? Just go out there and look for the people who have them? Or is my job to understand how it is and why it is that people may not? See, I guess my deepest feeling is that as a person whose attitude, for example, is not by default positive, see, I've had to work really hard in developing and cultivating an awareness necessary to recognize when my attitude is beginning to turn. And I know how to relate to that now so that I can sort of affect its demonstration. But to develop that capacity, I've had to spend so much time face to face with my personal limitations, face to face with my proclivity to move away from any one of these elements and move towards something that's more comforting and maybe safer for me. And as a result of having had that experience, the last thing I would ever do was to believe that writing them on a whiteboard would be enough to facilitate any kind of change at all. See, I think the whiteboard really represents the judgment that so many of us hold for people who demonstrate a lesser capacity than we believe we have worked so hard to achieve. And that's a confession. See, the elements of who I am that I believe I've worked really hard to achieve, I recognize the value of them. And when I bear witness to someone who doesn't, on a really good day, my best reaction is pure compassion. That I recognize that somehow they have been misguided or distracted, as I have been so many times in my life, and they're failing to reap the reward of having good energy, of having good body language. And so I want to be able to meet them in that space and facilitate their understanding of how they may be limiting themselves, create an environment that invites them to express themselves in a way that they would not had they not met me. See, that's extraordinary change. That's leadership. Putting it on a whiteboard is easy. And it's really copping out. There's so much more we could do if we're willing to come face to face with our own personal experience of limitation so that we can understand why people may fail to have these characteristics. Because I promise you, every human being out there is doing the best they can all the time. And if they fail to demonstrate one of these characteristics, it's because they're confused, not weak.